what was really exciting for us about getting this new space here on the 4th floor was an opportunity to take all of the learnings that we had over 3 years of operation downstairs and to really put them in effect. And one of the things that we really clearly learned about while we were downstairs is the importance of unstructured space. And so with this 4th floor opportunity, what we did was we made sure that we kept as much of this space open as possible. And so in a business model sense, of course this is an area that we're not generating revenue from, but from a social sense, this is absolutely critical to the success of what we do. And so from a shared kitchen to just some unstructured open space, this is really the hub, and this is where a lot of that dynamic energy and the serendipity occurs. Because in the workspace, people are talking, but it is a workspace, and that's where people really need to focus. And it's in this type of space, and it's in the meeting spaces where a lot of that magic happens, where you're meeting new people, where you're interacting, where you're having the kinds of conversations that provoke new ideas, that provoke new strategies for making change. And so that was one of our very exciting learnings, in addition to making a space that's quite comfortable. So couch seating, very warm, using the carpets and different types of the old harvest tables. As minute as some of those things may seem, those are really essential to the model. The physical space that we design informs the behavior that occurs, and we all know that. We behave differently in different types of institutions, and that's something that we really wanted to create. And so when we walk into the main space, you'll see that we use a lot of glass. We use a lot of open space. And when we were downstairs, we had a reaction. People saying, I don't want to work, in a glass bubble. I don't want people watching me all the time. If you like privacy, the Center for Social Innovation is not the workspace for you. This is a space where we're trying to foster community. We're trying to foster openness. We're trying to foster transparency. So we need to make sure that those values are reflected in the physical architecture of our space. You were sitting inside, of course, one of our main meeting spaces, the Alterna Savings boardroom, and that was our first experiment with sponsorship. And so we made a deal with Alterna Savings where they've got naming rights for that boardroom in exchange for payment to the Center for Social Innovation, which was a great success for us in a win-win situation for both. Here they've got a name targeted to their exact target audience, nonprofits and charities constantly being exposed to Alterna Savings. And likewise, we were able to generate some revenue that had no strings tied to it and that wasn't dependent on a particular deliverable. That was the only case. We have here as well the Sunshine Room, which was a small meeting room space. And as we walk into the main workspace, and I'll take you to the far corner a little bit later, I'll just mention we provide 3 types of space. We provide private office space, which is a traditional private office, just as any of you may work with. We also provide permanent desk space, and a permanent desk means that a small organization, generally run by a single person, can pay $350 a month. And for $350 a month, they get a footprint which provides a desk, some lockable filing space, and a bookshelf. And they can operate their organization out of that single space. So this is generally for organizations, community groups, unincorporated initiatives that don't have the budget or the need for a full office environment, but what they do have a need for the full office amenities. And so while their footprint may be small, they're able to access the high-speed internet, the photocopier, the kitchen facilities, security, supplies, all of the things that help them to run their organization more efficiently and more effectively. And so that's really been key for us, and it's also a cornerstone of the business model, both in terms of the revenue that it generates and the energy that it brings in, because of course I can fit more tenants that are only occupying a single space than if I had it all as office space. So that helps create a more dynamic environment. The third type of space also really helps both in a business model in terms of revenue generation and also from a dynamic community perspective is the hot desk feature. And so the hot desks are what I was referring to before. We have the area immediately in front. When we walk through, you'll see a fairly eclectic mix of desks there. That area is for our part-time members, and they're buying packages of 20 hours, 60 hours, or 100 hours a month. It gives them a chance to access office facilities and amenities when they need it. It gives them a chance to be plugged into a community that's loaded up with social capital that can connect them with all different subsectors within the broader social mission sector, and really just gives them a chance to connect and feel as if they have a home outside of a home-based office or outside of different coffee shops or their client meeting or client sites. So let's just jump right in. So I'll just orient you a little bit to the space where we are. So I was referring to private office spaces before. We see those here along the perimeter on the far side and also the middle. I was referring to the use of glass. And so when we moved into this space, none of these offices in the middle were built. And so we made a very determined effort to make sure that they were as transparent, open, and bright as possible. So we knocked down a couple of walls to help bring a lot of that natural light over to this side. These offices were pre-built, the ones that are here on this side, but those squares were not. And so what we did is we punched holes in the walls to help introduce some glass and make sure that we were bringing some light across into the space. As you can see, the same outside, beautiful ceilings, high, tall, great original wood and infrastructure here in the space. This area just to the left, which I mentioned, is a little bit eclectic. We're doing a couple of changeovers right now, and we're physically making some investments now that we've gone through the initial investment. We've got a little bit of a surplus now that we're reinvesting. So we'll have a closet that closes off that space there, and we're going to front that with a chalkboard. So we're trying to constantly think of devices where people can make notes, interact, and just provide different devices that help people understand who's working in the space and what they're doing, and that they can leave their fingerprints and their footprints here in the space as well. Here is the workspace commons, and so this is the virtual tenancy area that I was referring to before. This is the hot desk area, and this is Beth, who is one of our hot desk members, and there she is working away. And I won't put her on the spot, but I know we're a big fan of Beth, and I think the feeling's mutual. So we've had a lot of success here with this space. We're at about a dozen members right now, and our goal is by next September to have about 60 people who are working here in this space. And so we're going to create 20 workstations, but those 20 workstations can support up to 100 people because people are only using them for a couple of hours every day and they're rotating through. So we've got some calculations that help us figure out how to manage peak load and peak capacity, but that's something that we'll really be developing in the new year, both in terms of a physical outfit and then actually getting all the bodies in the door. The other thing worth pointing out is just on this side, and then also on the far side, which we'll have a quick look at. This is the desk space, and so a little bit more formalized and cozy on the other side because this is our most recent side that we've developed. But this is where we've got different footprints. And so on the far side, they're all singles, and on this side, we've got a cluster of 4 right here, a cluster of 2 behind that, 2, and then 4. We have 3 desks still available, but by January, those will all be gone. We've got 2 new people who've just moved in this week, and we've got a couple more lined up for January. So we will be fully tenanted in the new year, which is, of course, exciting for us. And then that waiting list will start for us again so that we know if there is any attrition. We tend not to see a lot of it, that we'll be able to fill in those gaps quite quickly, and that we'll be able to continue providing support to the groups that are in need in the community.
Do you have a waiting list for the hot area, or are you
We don't. Yeah, that's a 2008 is going to be developing our marketing strategy for that, and we'll be doing quite a push to help build awareness in the city that this is an option available to social entrepreneurs, innovators, activists, and nonprofit organizations.